Welcome to the Facebook Live Eclipse discussion. We're going to be talking about everything that we think is important for you to know about the upcoming annular solar eclipse. I'm Alan Holt, the chief meteorologist here at KIII TV. We've probably got people from out of town watching this thing. It's a big event happening, and we are going to be, again, discussing what it is we're watching as we head for this annular solar eclipse. Definitely something to be excited about here this weekend. So first things first, an annular solar eclipse happens when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, and then the shadow gets cast onto a very small part of Earth, and we just happen to be under that part this time around. The difference between an annular solar eclipse and a just total solar eclipse has to do with the moon's orbit. When the moon is farther away in its orbit to Earth, it's smaller to us, so it doesn't cover up as much of the sun. When it's closer, it can cover up more of the sun completely. This eclipse is going to be one of those where the moon's farther away, so it doesn't cover up the sun, and we get something called the ring of fire. It's where the sun is going to be almost covered up except for a little sliver of sunlight around the moon's shadow or the moon itself. So that's why it's important with the sun still coming in that you have these viewing glasses, specially approved ones. Make sure they're approved for solar viewing, or we're going to talk about how to make a pinhole projector. That's another thing that you can do to help with the viewing of this thing. And of course, a lot of the viewing is going to be dependent on the clouds. So we're going to be talking about the forecast, some of the factors that we're watching here, but just the general path of this thing is going to take a track from Oregon down through Texas the morning of Saturday, October the 14th. And this comes in over Midland, Odessa, tracks southeast right over the coastal bend and directly over Corpus Christi just before noontime. That's when the ring of fire hopefully is visible depending on the cloud forecast here. So this is how it moves in from New Mexico over the Permian Basin around 11:45, then right into the Texas Hill Country as we get into around 11:50, 11:51. If you're on social media, you're probably going to see photos of this thing a little earlier in San Antonio, not by much. Their peak eclipse time up I-37 is around 11:54 in the morning. And then it moves into the coastal bend, starting annularity. So I'll just define this really quick. Annularity is where the moon is going to be covering up almost all of the sun. It's not the partial eclipse. It's where the moon is fully over the sun with respect to our viewpoint. And that's going to start happening at 11:55 in Corpus Christi. It'll be a minute or two earlier in places like Live Oak counties. And then our max Saturday in the morning, just before noontime. And you see all the cities that'll be under it: Alice, Kingsville, Corpus Christi, basically all of Jim Wells, Clayburgh, Nueces, San Patricio, Aransas, and Refugio counties. You're going to be under it at some point, again, 11:54 or so through noontime. Then this goes out into the Gulf and continues on farther to the southeast into the afternoon. I wanted to give a better look at exactly who is where in the coastal bend and in our viewing area. So what I did here is you'll see two orange lines that are bookending that dark shadowy area. That shadowed part of the map, that's where we just looked, where the moon's shadow is going to be completely covering up the sun. So pretty much all of our viewing area is going to be under this thing. And that blue line, that's the center of the shadow. So that's going to start, for us at least, up in Live Oak County. It'll be very close to I-37 through Live Oak County, right over Three Rivers and George West. Continues south just north of Lake Corpus Christi. There's Tynan. It's going to be close to Sinton as it continues to the south, but Odom, you're going to be pretty close to right under the center of Annularity. And then it's over the Back Bay and over the port. And look at all these places in Corpus Christi that are going to be under the center of this annular solar eclipse. Just for some perspective on how uncommon it is for a specific point to be under direct center of one of these things. You don't get under one of these fully on average for any given point on Earth once every 140 years. So this is going to be a really cool thing. I'm hoping the clouds behave. We'll get to the forecast part. We're just going over the eclipse nitty-gritty first. But you see close to Whataburger Field, Brewster Street Ice House, the Art Museum of South Texas, the American Bank Center, very close to that. I'm sure many of you watching have been to that parking lot to Whataburger Field for a Hooks game. You know, that's where that's right where this is going to be going, the center of this thing. And then it's right over the American Bank, over the People's Street T-head, and then it continues southeast over the bay, over the Naval Air Station, Corpus Christi, parts of Flower Bluff, and finally getting back out onto the island. And this is just the center path. All of these places that we've been showing will be under the annularity part. We're just talking about the dead center of this, right over the Packery Channel, just north of it over Mustang Island. Very, again, close to noontime here on Saturday. So eclipse times, it's about a 3-hour thing total. The most picturesque time, clouds pending, is going to be 11:55 to noon. So about a 5-minute window. That's the annularity. And that's where the ring of fire is going to be right over us. But again, it starts at around 10:30, 10:26 for Corpus Christi and goes through about 1:40 in the early afternoon here on Saturday. So I'm excited about it. Again, you'll want these glasses to get out and see. That's the best way to look at it if you want to try to look directly at the sun. You do not want to do it without protective and approved eyewear. So this is just generally how it's going to look if all things were perfect, no clouds at all. You see 11:30, the eclipse will already have been about an hour in, and about half of the sun will be covered up by the moon at that point. That's 11:30 on Saturday morning. By 11:55, annularity begins. The full disk of the moon will be over the sun. But again, because it's a little farther in its orbit, we're not going to completely cover the sun. That's why it's an annular solar eclipse. Max time, most covered up, centered up, 11:58. By noon, that'll be the end of annularity. And then by 12:30, about half the sun covered up, but the moon will be exiting between 12:30 and about 1:40. So another hour or so after that. And that's how it'll look if the skies are clear. They're not going to be clear, crystal clear, on Saturday, it looks like. So Friday, tomorrow, if you're in town, maybe you got plans, it's going to feel like summer here Friday before this front comes in. We'll start in the low 70s in the morning. Going to top out tomorrow in the middle to lower 90s. It will be hot. The heat index is going to top out close to 105. Sunny skies, a few drifting clouds around, but it's going to be sunny to partly cloudy, hot and humid, southeasterly wind coming in. This is near peak summer level heat. definitely above middle of October standards. Friday night football games tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Temperatures will be in the low 80s. No weather-related concerns for Friday evening. And then our cold front comes in on Saturday in the early morning, pre-dawn hours, a little bit after midnight. It's not going to come in with a whole lot of fanfare in terms of rainfall. I don't think we see hardly anything. There may be a spot shower or two floating around, but rain is not going to be an issue for us with this front. The winds will start to pick up. It'll become blustery by the time we start waking up, 7 o'clock or so in the morning on Saturday. We could easily have some wind gusts, 20 to 30 miles per hour at this point, sustained up near 20 miles per hour. And temperatures will be in the upper 60s or low 70s. As you wake up, probably going to be cloudy. And there's going to be, I think, more clouds than clear air to kick things off on Saturday. The front, those north winds, they're going to be bringing in lower humidity. So we're going to get a substantial drop in our humidity. There's going to be a bunch of dry air coming in, and temperatures heading into max eclipse time, they're going to be mild. We'll be in the mid 70s here at 11:30 on Saturday morning. So temperatures, okay, yes, it's going to be comfortable. I would prefer it if this map showed no cloud coverage, but there will be some clouds to contend with on Saturday. The trend throughout the day will be to gradually clear up. So it'll be cloudiest at sunrise. It'll be the least cloudy at sunset. And with the eclipse happening midday, it's going to be in the process of clearing. I will say that some of the guidance clears this out a lot more quickly, but those are the outliers in terms of how quickly things clear up. This is a higher resolution model, so it's going to have a better handle on some of the more nuanced cloud coverage. And I think something like this is certainly plausible, where we've got not completely overcast skies. There will be breaks in the clouds, but I do think that at times there will be some obstruction of the eclipse because of the clouds. I went out today and I was just kind of testing this. It was a little bit cloudy at times today. So I went out, our news director was talking to me about how these were, you could still see through some of the clouds with these glasses. And that's true. The thinner clouds, if these clouds that you're looking at on the map are a little thinner, then you might be able to see right through them and see the sun. It'll just look like an orb up there when you're looking at it through these things. And it's possible you'll be able to see the eclipse despite thin cloud coverage if we have that in place. If the clouds are a little thicker, then that won't work. But again, I still think these are the best way to go if you're going to be viewing the eclipse. So hopefully it clears up quickly, but I think the most realistic look is something like this, where it's a mixture of sun and clouds heading into Saturday, 11:30 noontime. There's the clear up into the afternoon. If the eclipse were happening at 4, I think we'd be in a lot better shape. I don't think it's going to be completely a wash where we can't see anything at all. I just think it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to have just the crystal clear blue skies. If something changes tomorrow, we'll adjust. But, I'd rather not be saying something like, oh, it's going to be perfect, and then we get clouded up and everyone's upset, right? I don't think that's going to happen. But I think we have a mix of sun and clouds. That's what I'm trying to say with this graphic. So the forecast is going to reflect that, around annularity, that 5-minute window where you get the ring of fire and it's all centered up over us. It's possible that some locations miss it. It's possible that you're under cloud coverage in the coastal bend when this is happening. So, that's just going to be luck of the draw. Where are the breaks in the clouds at this time? There's no way to predict that. Just know that that's possible for you. There will also be gaps within this 3-hour time frame where you see the eclipse just fine and you get your picture. You can, use your pinhole projector. You can even take your glasses, right? You can take these things, put your phone on the lens on the back side of it. Just put your phone there and take a photo. It's not hard. You just kind of do this number and you got it. And it'll take it. So another option to capture the memory. Okay, back to the weather graphics here. And it's going to be windy. It'll be windy. Your glasses are probably going to fall off. If you have one of those bands, that you got for your regular sunglasses, maybe punch a hole in them because it's going to be windy, and attach a little rope. Winds are going to gust over 30 miles per hour, I think, at times on Saturday. And I think the windiest time is going to be right around noontime. So that will definitely be in play. This is cool now, the do-it-yourself pinhole projector. I made one of these and I called it the Pinhole projector because why not? It's only one letter different than my last name. So that's on YouTube, my Facebook page, if you want to check that out. But this is a really easy thing to do, maybe tomorrow or Saturday morning for breakfast. The kids, instead of cartoons, you're watching how to do the pinhole projector on Saturday morning. You only need a few items and you probably have them already. A pencil or a pin, something to poke a small hole in, foil. You also need foil, tape, paper, white paper, scissors, or an X-Acto knife, a little short bladed knife that the adults would use, not the kids. And then you can use a shoebox or a cereal box, something that can get dark and you can cover it up and it's dark inside of that box. So first thing you want to do is cut 2 holes on the long end of the shoebox, one on either side, usually on the bottom left and right. On one of those holes, in this example, it's going to be the left. You'll take your foil and you're going to tape that to one of those holes. The other hole is going to be used to look in with your eye. It doesn't have to be a small hole. It can be, like a 2-inch by 2-inch cutout in the box. It doesn't have to be small. You'll put your face up onto it. And then you'll poke through the foil with a pin, a pencil, a pen, a thumbtack, a paper clip, something like that. And if you want it a little bit bigger, you can kind of insert the pencil just a little bit more. And what that'll do is when you start looking through the pinhole projector, the projection will be just a little bit bigger. It's going to be fairly small on the other side of the box. And the other side of the box is where you're going to put that white piece of paper. You'll tape it on. All that's going to do is enhance the contrast. So you'll have the white piece of paper there, and it'll provide like a projector screen. When you go to the movies, it's on a white screen, right? That's in essence what you're doing to the back of this box. Then you'll close up the lid, make it dark. The way you use this now is when you go outside, you can test this, tomorrow or Saturday morning. You'll go outside, you'll make sure that your back is facing the sun. So you're looking away from the sun. At noon, we're going to be looking down because the sun's going to be just about right over top of us. The light's going to move through that little pinhole, and you'll see, I don't think it'll look that big in your box. This is just a graphical example. But if all things are clear and there's no clouds, you should be able to see the moon's shadow as it starts to cross over that little pinhole projector light. This graphic is tons of info on it. This is posted as well at kiiitv.com. There's actually an article that we have up with all of this we're talking about. It's all written out. You can see these images one by one. Take your time with them if you are going to be, trying to get more versed on what we're talking about. So that's just some facts. And that's one of the things we were talking about earlier, that on average, any given point on Earth, about 140 years time passes between solar or annular eclipses. Lunar eclipse is a lot more common. That's when the Earth shadow gets cast onto the moon. Blood moon, some of you may be familiar with that term. The moon's shadow, over 1,000 miles per hour on the movement. That's pretty fast. And it's about 115 miles in diameter. The Earth's shadow, the part that's going to be the annularity covering up the sun with the exception of the ring of fire. So cool stuff with the annular eclipse. The next one is going to happen fairly quickly. This one's going to happen April the 8th of next year, kind of close to where this one's going to be happening. They're going to be perpendicular paths, so we're not going to be under the total eclipse. This one's going to be a 100% coverage of the sun, but this one's going to go very close to San Antonio, Austin, up into the DFW area. So this is going to be another big event for Texas. Hopefully the skies cooperate for this one too. I know ours isn't the best right now, so we'll leave it with the 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, again, summer-like, 93 degrees outside, and I will try to answer some questions on the Facebook Live as we finish up here. So we've got, the Friday summer-like day of weather, 93 degrees, heat index 105 or so. Eclipse day, cloudy in the morning, gradually dispersing throughout the day. So a blend of sun and clouds for the eclipse. Sunny by the end of the day with a high of 84, way lower humidity, gusty north winds. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, game on. Sunny delights. It's going to be immaculate here. If you have plans outdoors any of those days, take advantage of it. It's going to be beautiful. And if you don't know what a sunny delight is, at some point I got sick and tired of saying that a nice day here meant that the temperature was going to be comfortable, the sky was going to be sunny, the humidity is going to be low, the winds aren't going to be all that high. I just kind of got tired of saying all of those things every time. So I came up with this sunny delight thing and it stuck. And those are the variables that I look for. High temperature between 65 and 89, dew point under 65. Anything under 60 is really nice. 65, depends on the day. Skies sunny, and then the winds under 20 miles per hour. That's what I'm looking for. So when you see a 7-day forecast, when I'm just saying, yeah, sunny delights, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that's what I'm referring to. I actually look for those characteristics to be able to call for one of those sunny delights. And that season unofficially runs mid-October to mid-May here. Summertime, they don't exist. So let me look at these questions. I will not know where you can get the solar glasses up front. I'm not going to know. I've heard, does it? We have a story up on the website. Our digital expert is telling us that we've got a story on the website. She might post it in the comments of this thing. But yeah, that's going to be where you can find them. I will say that they're probably going to be tough to come by because it's going to be a very, very, very popular item on Saturday. Just want to see if I can, again, answer any questions because I know there's a lot of them. Something else that happens in these solar eclipses, I'm just going to cycle through these graphics. The temperature may drop just a little bit as the moon crosses between us and the sun. You know, it's going to be shady and we're not going to be getting as much radiation and heating from the sun. So the temperature easily could drop 5 to 10 degrees as this is happening on Saturday. And again, just going to wait and hang out, see if there are any questions here about this. Hey, Bill, are you watching the eclipse? Do you want to be on this? Do you want to come on?
I'll be in Houston.
Oh, Bill's going to be in Houston. Okay. Well, you can still see a part of it, just not the ring of fire.
Gotcha.
So Bill's going to Houston. He's got family up that direction. Okay, I see the link from Anna. That's where you can get the glasses. Seeing some people say stripes. We must have done a good job on the coverage because I'm not seeing any questions come in, which is great. How long does the eclipse last? That's a great question, Priscilla. The entire eclipse lasts about 3 hours from 10:26 in the morning to 1:38 in the afternoon. The ring of fire part of the eclipse, where it's just a sliver of sunshine around the moon, that only lasts 5 minutes. So it's a short window of time, and it's from 11:55 to noon in Corpus Christi, just a minute or two earlier if you're in like B and Live Oak County. So it's all going to happen in that 10-minute span right before noontime. Okay, getting questions now about the forecast. Is it going to be clear sky for the eclipse? That's something we really went over in depth on this graphic. So there will be a mix of sun and clouds. It'll be cloudiest in the morning at sunrise. It'll be clearest by the end of the day at sunset. And it'll take the day to get rid of the clouds. So we're probably going to have times where we're obstructed by clouds. We will also have periods where you can see the sun and the eclipse between the clouds. I don't think it's going to be crystal clear. I also don't think it's going to be overcast. And if anything, I think at this point, if there's going to be a little shift, it would be to clear up more quickly. And that would be best case scenario for us. You want to make sure you're always using these glasses or the pinhole projector if you're looking at this thing. You're going to get eye damage if you don't have proper protection. So you got to make sure that you've got those. Last eclipse, Priscilla, for the U.S. was, I think it was 2017, but that was not here. I don't know when the last one was right over Corpus Christi off the top of my head. But eclipses aren't that uncommon for Earth. They happen 2 to 5 times a year. The part that's not common is when they cross over your house. That's what's not common with these eclipses. For a given point on Earth, an annular or solar eclipse happens on average once every 140 years. Okay, I think we're wrapping up here. We've been on for about 30 minutes. So the time right now, if you're watching, is 8:26. And if you're watching and the time is not 8:26 on, what's today? October the 12th, then you're watching a recording. It's not live anymore. So good luck to everybody. We're going to be continuing to update the forecast as we get better and better data leading up to the eclipse. But right now, the weather's going to be great. If the eclipse weren't happening, we'd be just going bonkers about how nice it's going to be this weekend. But with the clouds, it's going to be something that we've got to consider in our viewing of this thing. It's not going to be perfect, it looks like, but it does also look like we're going to have some windows to be able to see this thing. And hopefully, this is one time I'm wanting our forecast to be incorrect, because I would love to see clear skies and a perfect unobstructed view, but we're going with what the data says, and right now data is looking like a blend of sun and clouds Saturday for the eclipse in South Texas. All right, we'll be checking in with y'all in the coming days. Enjoy the heat if you like that tomorrow, and then the sunny delights come in for the second half of the weekend and early next week. We'll see y'all.